move the motion. We need order? No, I didn't think so. I was trying to remember. Okay, so in terms of old business, we have the adoption of the minutes from the June 4th meeting. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And the minutes are approved. And next up, we have KPMG is up next, or is the, no, we've lost them.
Gonna do the gym.
Want to do charter?
Let's do the charter first.
Okay.
Okay. Good afternoon to the committee. I would like to go ahead and briefly discuss the Audit and Compliance Committee Charter update. As a way of background, the current charter was last approved in 2022. At this point, we went through a review of both compliance legal and legal to do some review and update the charter prior to requesting an approval by the committee, which we'll be asking for today. The highlights of the changes, primarily, there was two big changes, and those changes related to responsibilities that are primarily handled internally and not by the audit committee itself. Those two responsibilities are approving my budget, which is done internally, and the performance of my annual review, which is done by Talia internally as well. There was one other major verbiage change, if you will, and that was with regards to overseeing hiring and termination of my position. The way it was previously was it approved the decisions. It is now reading that it oversees the decisions. So the committee has the ultimate power and responsibility over any decisions made over and you can relinquish or grant as much power as you wish to management in the handling of hiring and terminations. There were some other minor changes. Most of the changes occurred specifically in the internal audit portion. To your earlier comment, there's been no changes as far as the membership totals or things of that nature. So at this point, oh, and the last big thing, of course, is adding you as an official approver of the charter, which is highly important. So at this point, I would like to request the committee approve the changes to the charter. If I can get a motion.
Motion.
Second.
There's a motion first and seconded. Is there any questions regarding the verbiage? Hearing none. All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? The motion carries. Thank you so much.
Over to KPMG.
Yes, hi. Hi, everyone. So I'm Jocelyn Janowski. I think I can't see who's in the room, but I'm sure I've met most of you last time I was there. I have with me Eric Crossett, our lead senior manager, who also was with me last time. And then I also have Camille Fremont, who's also a partner within KPMG, and she is the one of the system partners. We have brought her onto the team on the health plan as well. We thought it made sense since they cross over between, the health plan and the health system, a lot of the procedures and things like that. And so she'll sort of pick up where I leave off in a few minutes. But she's actually going to be signing on the health plan this year. I'll be here for transition and things like that. But we thought it made a little more sense going forward for the partner to sort of be, the same partner between the two entities. You can let us know if you have any questions around that as we go, but I'll kick it off here. So starting on page 7, this is really just our overall, themes. KPMG is here to try to bring the best audit experience using our best technologies. We obviously will do our required communications as required by our auditing standards, share insights along the way, and also focus our audit on the key risks and our audit plan. This is really another way of saying that we have our people, our next gen platform, and we really use our technology just to drive the best audit experience and really focus on our risks to make the experience as best we can for you. So you can probably move on to the next slide as well. And we really want to focus on engagement management, accelerating work, improving the client experience, which I think I've said a number of times, but last year was our first audit year after several years. And so we really worked with management after last year's audit to just debrief the first year audit and figure out what went well, what we can improve upon, and how we might do things better. So we've already started to improve on last year's experience. We started to accelerate some of our claims work, some of our premiums work. And so we've already started to, start the process out smoother. As well as, like I said, we've sort of synchronized a little bit more between the health system and the health plan to make the process smoother. So this is just really building on what we've already started. This is just talking about our audit fees. I think you've already approved them sort of off cycle. I think going forward, we'll just try to get these approved as part of our earlier in the process. Technically, you guys are supposed to approve the fees prior to starting the next year's audit. So we had to do that off cycle, but we'll do that as part of the normal process going forward. And with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Camille to sort of kick off the required communications, and then I'm sure Eric will jump in as well.
Good afternoon, everyone. Very excited to be with you today. As Jocelyn mentioned, I am the second partner on the corporation audit. And as a reminder, MetroPlus is in essence audited twice. You're audited as of 6/30 and then again on a standalone basis as of December 31st. So we wanted to make sure that our teams were synchronized and that we were making sure the work that we're doing at any of the points in time can be leveraged for the following audit. So the last 6 months of the June 30 audit are the first 6 months of the 12/31 audit. I will serve as the lead partner this year. And then what you see on the screen for you and the slide on page 13 is our required communication. So Eric will bring us through a little bit about materiality in the context of the audit, talk through our timeline, as well as some of our risk assessment procedures, including significant risk identification, and then any other considerations that we will have. So as we're planning for we're well underway. So as we turn the slide, we wanted to highlight to you who we utilize throughout the audit. So it will include KPMG. We do utilize some other entities within KPMG, as well as MWBEs, as noted during our contracting period. So when we turn the slide to materiality, Eric, I'd ask you if you just want to jump in and start walking us through.
Yep. So I'll take us through the remainder of our required communications. So here, just as a reminder, we take a risk-based approach to our audit, and materiality is one of our considerations when determining the balances to be tested and the procedures to be performed. We jump to the next slide. Detailed here is our audit timeline, our key milestones, including our planning and risk assessment, our interim testing, and our year-end procedures. We have started working through our planning, risk assessment, and interim substantive procedures, and are currently on track. Jump to the next slide. So we've identified 2 significant risks in our audit. The first being management override of controls. Then we do note that management override of controls is determined to be a significant risk at all entities, not just MetroPlus. And then our strategy involves rigorous testing of the plan's journal entries. Go to the next slide. Our second significant risk is the estimate for claims payable for incurred but not recorded claims, or IBNR claims. This estimate has been identified as a significant risk, largely due to the level of judgment, specifically the actuarial judgment involved in determining the balances to be recorded. And our strategy for testing this balance involves KPMG actuarial specialists to assist in this testing. And then if we just go through the next 2 slides, here we've just listed several accounting estimates and or balances that do require some effort to audit. However, they don't rise to the level of significant risk. So that's this slide, and then the next one. And then, yep, if we just jump to the next slide. Here we detail the involvement of others. As I mentioned before, we're engaging KPMG actuarial specialists to assist in the testing of the IBNR claims estimate. Additionally, we are involving KPMG tax professionals to perform procedures to review the plan's non-taxable status. And then over the next two slides, just outline independence. Specifically that auditor independence is a cornerstone of our practice, ensuring objectivity and integrity in all of our audit activities, and that we adhere strictly to the regulatory requirements, maintaining transparency and accountability throughout the audit process. And then if we jump to the next slide after this, next slide. Here we have our required inquiries of the committee. And then, if anybody would like to discuss any of these questions with Camille, Jocelyn, or myself, please feel to reach out. And then that should take us to the final slide. And with that, we've reached the end of our presentation.
Okay, so I don't think we have any questions.
Yeah, sorry, I was just wondering if anyone had any questions. Sorry, I was on mute.
Nope,
No questions.
Okay, so then I think KPMG team, you are free to wrap off.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
I think it's security, internal audit compliance this time.
Want to do security?
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. So I'm going to follow the same format that you've been accustomed to seeing in the past, so there'll be no surprises. Our training and awareness program remains strong. We were flat quarter over quarter, first quarter versus second quarter this year. Repeat clickers did go down, so that's a feather in our cap. And there were 363 reported orchestrated phishing during the testing versus 392. It's a little bit down, but still effective. I do want to note that last month, there were a total of 364 reported phishing suspicions, which were actual real emails that came in. So that tells me that the program is resonating with staff. And because of those reported phishing attempts, we were able to respond quickly and adjust our filters so that we were able to capture anything that was coming in and also expunge any of those messages that did hit our inboxes. So this is the first time I think we saw that type of an attack that actually got through our defenses. So we were able to adjust, and now we're capturing those. They were QR codes, oddly enough. So we're going to be doing some additional training around QR codes, so that people have a better understanding of that new attack vector. Any questions?
No, we had an interesting one, right? The one that was circulating of
Yes.
you had an increase to your salary.
That's the QR code one day.
That's the one. Yeah. I kept
Yeah.
on getting it for I approved for myself, and then it kept on coming again and again and again.
Well, Talia, I do want to make note that you did report a couple of those that came in. So you were on. I'm glad to see that it.
Doing it for myself.
Well, maybe Angela did on your behalf, but it did come in as you.
Yeah.
Which brings me to the next slide. So the system health checks. We did have an uptick in email delivery. And again, that's a point in time. That is not last quarter. That is a very recent point in time. So there was an uptick in email delivery, which probably lent to the fact that there was additional messages getting through our filters. So I expect that to go back down the next reporting period. Our antivirus signatures remain strong, and our patching cadence, while it was a little bit low, again, this is a point in time, it is still very strong, and we have high marks for that. Our outside security operations center that's 24/7 monitoring, they did not meet the SLA of 60 minutes. They blew it by 7 minutes for that last quarter. So we're going to take a look at the contract upon renewal and maybe build some penalties into it. We've been contracting with a third-party SOC for 4 years now, and this is the first time we saw that. So I think it's time that we review it and make sure that we have a potential penalty built into it going forward. Any questions? Okay, security investigations, behavioral analytics, our user behaviors went down from the quarter before, but and that includes, staff sending emails out to non-corporate accounts, which we often see because not all physician offices use corporate accounts. Our assets also went down in terms of new assets coming online. It's all noise level as far as I'm concerned. No peaks or anything that are notable there. We are tracking 7 laptops that were not returned from former employees. It's a little bit higher than normal. And as they come in, we will take them off that list. But anything that does come in, we'll take that up with HR if necessary. Cell phones not returned were 4, which would get wiped anyway. And iPads were 1. There were 2 lost laptops and 3 lost and 3 stolen smartphones. As far as staff investigations are concerned, where they're only sanctioned by HR, labor relations, there were 15 custodial accounts that we were reviewing. We extracted 34 files across active tracks, cell phone logs, and so on and so forth. So those are numbers that are about average, nothing notable there. Any questions?
Hey, Rob, when you said that you indicated that you wipe the cell phones and the iPad clean, but you do the same for the laptops, right?
Yes. Yes, we will issue a wipe command that will remove all data from those devices if they're not returned, or especially if they're lost or stolen. But if they're not returned, we do check before we wipe anything for legal hold to make sure that we don't need to preserve something for something that has not been returned yet that we're still pursuing a return of.
Well, Lindsay, in addition to that, all these devices are mandatory password locked anyway. And if you have multiple incorrect attempts at logging in, it would also automatically wipe. On the phone, it would lock.
On the phones. Okay, moving on. Business continuity and disaster recovery. In June we completed full failovers from data center to data center. Very successful effort. A lot of planning involved in that. That was really to support the relocation of our data centers. So we chalked that up to business continuity and disaster recovery testing. The physical data center relocation was a success. We did a tremendous amount of validation before we brought everything back online. And I'm happy to report that there was no loss in productivity from a business perspective. We did update the emergency action plan policy, which outlines points of assembly if we were to evacuate the building. So we work closely with HR on that. Any questions? Okay, moving on. Our application development lifecycle security remains strong. The app dev folks are extremely busy with Project Edge, but at the same rate, we are nudging them to make sure that we're addressing any vulnerabilities in current code or new code relative to applications that are built internally. So Valencia, I'm sure you're happy with that slide still. Any questions? I do want to point out AppDev is extremely busy with Project Edge. So the fact that they're maintaining this at a very high level is a feather in their cap. I think they're doing a terrific job. All right, next slide, please. So we're winding down the New York State Department of Financial Services cybersecurity regs. The last piece of the puzzle is just going over written policies and procedures for asset management. We do have policies relative to that, as well as standard operating procedures. But I am pressing all the teams to review everything that they have, make sure that they're up to date, and they'll go on an annual renewal approval basis going forward. So we're material compliant, but I'm just pointing out that we're wrapping it up at this point. Any questions? Okay, moving on. This is tracking our delegated vendor security. We did meet with CMS last week, and they did have specific questions about delegated vendors and how how our program ties into observing third-party vendors, especially our delegated vendors. And they were pleased to hear that I do track these regularly, and I do report on them on a regular basis to the committee. The median score is 750, which is extremely high. I think that's a good that should give us a good secure feeling that these vendors are worthy in terms of a security posture. The portfolio did increase by 10 points versus the quarter before. And most of what I'm seeing in terms of the highs and lows, the peaks and valleys, are the encryption configurations, as organizations are renewing or revising their encryption. At times they might be caught, and that's where you get a 10-point drop. And those that increase show a strengthened security from encryption. So the fact of the matter is, from my perspective, it's noise level. There's nothing of note here. If I did see a significant drop, say 30 or 40 points, we more than likely would reach out to that vendor to make sure that it did not impact any MetroPlus data. And notably, Health Edge on the lower left-hand side of this slide remains strong. Any questions? Okay, I think this is my final slide. So MetroPlus, at the time of this, was still tracking at 770. We did rebound in September. I have to note this because we did rebound to 790, and we're going to push for 800 again. But that 770 drop was due to testing as we are aligning for our separation from the H&H network. So all of that testing was captured by BitSight Technologies that reports on this. And it had a 60-day lapse. So from the last day it was identified to make sure that the correction stuck, it lapses for 60 days with no change, and then the score rebounds. So that happened in early September. So in the fourth quarter, I anticipate to report on a significant increase for MetroPlus. As a matter of fact, if you look at all the scores, most of them went down, including Emblem, who was leading at that point. Through it all, though, all of these organizations have a very strong security posture. So I think we're all in good company. Are there any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Good afternoon to the committee again. I'd like to briefly go over our current audit plan status and the status of our corrective action plans. At the moment, we currently have the provider directory audit out with management for responses to the proposed corrective action plans. We're waiting on a response there. The other two audits currently in progress, provider payment records. We've had a little bit of challenge there because the teams that provide me the information are also teams that are deeply involved in dealing with the electronic data interface files, which we've been having challenges with, and they're trying to correct for our new HRP system. And if we have to come down between one or the other, I'd rather see the files make it through first. But that has caused a little bit of delay there. And our member applications audit, which is also in play right now, we're currently have the data, and we're currently going through and developing what tests we're going to look at. That's not complete yet, but that's in progress as we speak. We have several audits that have not started yet, and I wish to address that with the committee later in executive session. If you could go down to the corrective action plans. We currently have two corrective action plans that are still open. Both of those I'll go into more detail again in executive session. I'm looking to have one of them will probably definitely be extended because it was relating to the new system being in place, which is not there yet, and the other one related to an audit plan, which we believe will be completed sometime mid-October. So with that, that's all of the things I currently have for the committee. Is there any questions? Thank you.
You can go down to the next one. Yep, keep going. So this is an update on the next couple of slides are updates on our 2025 work plan. As you can see, it's a combination. So we have annual activities, including something like service verification, which does take place twice a year. We completed the first half of the year, and obviously we'll reach 100% by the end of the year when the second round of service verification mailings go out. You'll see that across the board, we're at 50% level for the bulk of our annual activities because we are reporting through Q2, and each one takes place quarterly. So if you could go to the next slide. This is the specific privacy workflow. So we have the privacy walkthroughs, just as a reminder for the committee. That is when our privacy team both walks through our locations as well as our community offices and our various health and hospitals physical locations that we occupy, checking for making sure we're locking our screens, protecting our information, laptops are locked, et cetera, and making sure that we're in good shape across the entire MetroPlus footprint. We also do our annual security, privacy, and breach compliance assessment. I can update that we just received our draft report, and it's really excellent results across the board. We'll share the details with the committee once it's finalized. And then we're also doing a special audit this year, which is about 60% complete of minor confidentiality and protecting that information. Minors have special levels of protection, both at the state level and varies by line of business. So we're protecting across the board there. Next slide. So this is our vendor compliance. Again, we have our delegated vendors on a risk ranked audit schedule across a 3-year period as allowed by CMS. So these are the audits that you're seeing that were either finalized for 2024 or are underway for 2025. And so almost all of them, except for the ones that were 2025 audits, are either closed or at the end of their process and just waiting for the vendor to come back and confirm their corrective actions. We do our ongoing, again, we're halfway through the year with this quarter, so exclusion screening is at 50%, because obviously that goes all year round. Next slide, please. This is the special investigation unit work plan, separate obviously apart from the compliance work plan. And as you can see, these audits and activities are primarily year-long, right? So initiated in the beginning of the year, they take the full year to do. So almost all of them are in the 50% range. Next slide, please. And these are specific audits that we are doing as it relates to our line of business. Well, at the time that we did this, we did Article 44 readiness, but obviously we completed Article 44 and received our Article 44 results. So I would probably say that we are 100% complete. Is that why I would say that? Or
So the readiness, I think our review was more focused on operational readiness. So we're still going to continue the work to ensure that when we do have the operational survey, we'll have all our policies and procedures and internal documents up to date. Yeah. So we're still going to continue that work.
And then our CHIP audit actually relates to as conversations that we'll have with regard to an ongoing process. We get audited externally every year, and so we are looking to then audit our outstanding corrective actions from each of the external audits that we've undergone related to CHIP. And we are continuing, as always, to work on our RRP program. Next slide. And this is our standard activity. Again, all of our business process monitoring work is ongoing monitoring. It happens across the year. So again, as this is the report for closeout of Q2, all activities are at a 50% level. And obviously we report on the specifics in other documentation. Next slide. And this again is one of the areas where CMS requires just that we bring Medicare separately to the committee's attention, but it is the same statement. Again, it's annual work that takes place across the entire year, so 50% complete through the end of Q2. Next slide. So these are just some highlights. Again, we do every month, we engage in our.
Remind me, where are we with Medicare UM? We had like this outstanding issue for a while. Where are we with?
That's in the full
It's in
report
the
that
full
we'll go
report,
through.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll go into detail. So we do our mandatory exclusion screenings. All activities were fully completed for Q1 and Q2. For case investigations, and this is including all reporting mechanisms. So we make sure that we have a no wrong door policy if anybody has a compliance concern, but this also includes our hotline, which is both a phone number to be anonymous and an online anonymous reporting methodology. People have a lot of options. In total, we received 50 reports. Triage means that 19 of those 50 went almost entirely off to customer service because people came to the compliance hotline to say, I lost my ID, I want to change my PCP. So we have a formalized routing process with member services. But we did receive 31 that were compliance related, and a total of 8 of those were closed. The others remain under investigation in various stages. Then you can see in the chart on the bottom, 2025 has had significantly fewer cases coming in than we did in 2024. And so a little bit more still than 2023, but happy to see that the concern levels are going down. You know, in 24, we had a lot, as Ganesh and Rob can attest, we had a lot of concerns about people having concerns about identity and phone numbers they were getting. Oh, was it really MetroPlus who called me? Things of that nature. Next slide. This is our privacy activities. We received, again, this is through all reporting mechanisms, 37 total reports. Privacy complaints obviously don't get triaged. They stay within our division. Of those 37 reports received and after review, 33 investigations were opened. We were able to close 22 of them, and the remainder are still in some stage of investigation. Next slide, please. And these are just some reporting out on our regulatory operations. This includes just some updates on our annual policy and procedure review. In Q2, we were able to initiate that annual review for 46 P&Ps, and also in Q2, we finalized and published 43 additional P&Ps. We are not presently on track to hit every single P&P for the year as we would hope, but these are our numbers as of now. Next slide. No, any questions? Okay, next slide, please. And this is just some high-level information with regard to surveys and audits that we've received over. And so we're giving you a trend across 3 quarters, starting in Q4 24. You can see that we've received, in 2024, we received a total of 237 surveys, and that's across NISO, OMH, DFS, et cetera, as well as CMS. And year to date in 2025, meaning the end of Q2, not as of September of 25, but through June of 2025, we had received 103. So pretty much on track for a similar volume for 2024. Next slide, please. And these are just, again, reporting on volume of state implementations. So in total, we had 25 implementations for Q2 2025. That is implementations that came in, completed, in progress, and we also have in progress as monitoring. And then we have open implementations where we are seeing that there are 44 implementations, again, as of Q2. Actually, these are current numbers, or that was Q2 numbers?
That's Q2.
That's what I thought. We had 44 in progress as of the end of Q2, 6 that were in the monitoring in progress. Again, compliance does not close an implementation until we've received enough documentation to confirm that it is functioning as required and in place. And so that's what that stands for. And so we have a total of 50 current open implementations.
How many of those managed by SWAT versus EPMO versus just you?
We can provide you that breakdown. I don't have that.
The majority is with SWAT and not with EPMO, but we can provide the breakdown. Would you like that to be in here regularly?
Yeah, so we do it 3 different ways because the volume is so insane. The really complex ones that go across multiple departments and there's a significant lift is done by Enterprise PMO. The less complex ones are run by product. Product has a new arm that was established that's called SWAT team. And this is essentially not to overwhelm the company with the number of audits. So they can just kind of do it separately and have a dedicated team to do it. And then I guess the really, I don't know if they're trivial ones, but like really not complex one item, I guess.
Yeah,
is
our
managed
team
by you.
manages, yeah.
I think it will give a better sense because it's a big number. And we always feel overwhelmed. I think to understand like what's behind it, it will
Yeah.
be helpful to understand.
What types of things are in those implementations?
So it runs the full gamut from the state says, this is a brand new code and service that you can cover, to a large scale benefit carve-in. So for example, the state single fiscal intermediary was an implementation that we managed, that was managed by EPMO, to something as large as the annual federal rules that CMS issues with multi-year strategies, vendors, complexity, et cetera. So the real difference in the complexity in 1 or 2 is the way we break it down, meaning whether it's managed by SWAT or managed by EPMO, is does it go across multiple divisions, and is there strategic choice involved for Metro Plus? Because some implementations, you don't really have a choice about how you're going to do it. It's very prescribed, even if it's touching 20 different departments that would generally be managed by the product SWAT team. But when we have to make strategic decisions, choose vendors, decide how it's going to impact systems or other processes, those often flow to the EPMO. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we can add that breakdown in our future presentations. Next slide. And this is that was the state slide. And so then, I know then you already said the numbers were overwhelming. This is the federal and integrated product slide, similar information, as you can see, in terms of the total implementations that are open and impacting these. So our integrated products we treat them as MLTC and our MAP products, as well as anything related to the IB duals. Next slide. You can go down to the, yeah, so because I know we still have quite a bit to cover, I won't walk the committee through each of these individually, but obviously they are there. This is the slide of our Medicare highlights. CMS was very active in Q2, and I think even more so far that we've seen in Q3. But you can keep going to the next slide, Angela, but they are down in the nitty gritty, as you'll see. Keep going. You can just flow through the Medicare slides. You'll see that we had 3 full slides of just the most impactful CMS activity for Medicare.
I just sorry, I just thought about this. We probably should translate, right? The broker change to our business.
Okay.
So how is this going to impact us, and how do we position ourselves based on the changes to the broker payments?
Okay, we can do that. And so again, this is just a list of most impactful state regulatory activity. Again, it runs the full gamut from, language assistance to network adequacy to individual treatment codes for behavioral health services. And there's been a lot of work around, if you want to go to the next slide, Angela, there's just a lot of activity around mandatory coverage and covering things without cost sharing. We're seeing more and more of that in the state budgets and other legislative activity. Big things around the integrated lines of business and RRP, another huge one. You can keep going, Angela. And then we also broke it down for the committee for slides that were critical to the commercial lines of business, which for us are QHP, EP, Gold and Gold Care. And here, one of the biggest ones is the network adequacy standards for behavioral health as applies to commercial. This is, obviously the government programs products have had specific network adequacy standards for forever, but commercial lines of business do not. And this is the first time that there has been a mandatory across the board set of these activities as it relates to behavioral health. And so plans have been working and are still working with the state despite the July 1st effective date to really figure out how to manage this, our provider directory, other activities that are required. So this was definitely one of the most impactful in the commercial space. Next slide, please.
No, from my perspective, again, if we're looking through the business lens, right, it's the changes to EP, again, brokers, and then all of the rules that now for Medicaid apply to EP. What does it do to our business positioning, and where from there? I think, sorry, I'm just realizing for those 2 points, we're kind of focused on what we need to do from a regulatory perspective. We're not thinking kind of the 2 steps down the road from there. What does it mean for our business?
In terms of our presentation, you mean? Because we are actually doing that work, but that's not in these slides.
yeah.
But if this is the end of this the public presentation, so if we wanted a motion to go into executive session.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion.
Second? All in favor? Aye.
So Angela, are we?
Thank you.
Yep.
Now just to adjourn.
Yeah, no, you
We'll go
can
back
let the
into-
record reflect that we have come out of
Okay.
executive session.
Okay, so let the record reflect we have come out of executive session, and can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Favor, aye. Being adjourned. 5:08.
Okay, bye. See you in a few.